Have you ever felt like you're living only a tiny fraction of your true potential, and somewhere deep inside, you've already given up on yourself? This video is going to bring that truth to the surface. Pain, fear, and excuses are our biggest enemies, and only by defeating them can we break through our limits. In this video, you will learn how to control your mind and turn the impossible into the possible. If you truly want to change, tell us in the comments what your biggest weakness is, and make sure to subscribe to Arise Reads for more content like this. Chapter 1. Facing the Truth. Recognizing your pain and weaknesses. Every person carries a story inside them that they run away from, a truth they don't want to share with anyone. And the most dangerous thing is that we start believing our own false story. Have you ever honestly asked yourself who is truly responsible for where you are today? Circumstances, other people, fate, or you yourself? Most people avoid this question because the truth hurts. But that very pain can also give you the power to change. David Goggins' life did not begin like a hero story. His childhood was spent in fear, violence, and poverty. His father was extremely harsh and cruel, and every single day was a terrifying experience for him. He struggled in school, was weak academically, and always felt inferior to others. Slowly, a belief took root inside him that he was worthless. And this is exactly where most people give up. They build an identity around it. I am just like this. I cannot change. But the real game starts right here. Because when you hide your weaknesses, you can never fix them. One day, Goggins looked at himself in the mirror and, for the first time, accepted the truth of his life. He told himself, I have been lying. I have been making excuses. And if I don't change something right now, I will stay here forever. This is not easy to hear. Calling yourself weak, lazy, and afraid hurts deeply. But that very pain can become your real strength. There is something very important to understand here. You cannot change until you acknowledge your true situation. We often create stories to hide our shortcomings. I don't have time. I don't have resources. My circumstances are bad. But all of this is just a shield so that we never have to face ourselves. And as long as you stay hidden behind that shield, your life will remain exactly the same. Goggins adopted a technique he calls the accountability mirror. He wrote all his truths on the mirror in his room. His weaknesses, his fears, his failures. Every day he would stand in front of that mirror and remind himself of where he stood. Think about how much courage it must take to tell yourself every single day that I am not yet where I need to be. But this honesty is exactly what pushes you forward. Now ask yourself one question. If you looked at the mirror of your own life, what would you see? Are you truly giving your full effort? Or are you just putting on a show? Are you facing your fears or running from them? These questions are uncomfortable. But the answers to these very questions can change your life. A turning point came in Goggins' life when he decided he would change his story. But this was not some movie-style transformation where everything suddenly gets better. It was an extremely difficult, painful, and long process. He began completely breaking himself apart. His old thoughts, his old habits, his false identity. Because until you destroy the old version of yourself, the new version cannot be born. He realized that his greatest enemy was not anyone else but his own mind. The same mind that kept telling him, you can't do this. This is not meant for you. And this voice is not only in Goggins' mind. It is inside every single person. The only difference is that some people accept this voice as truth, and some people challenge it. Here is a very important point. The greatest battle of your life is not happening outside, it is happening inside. And until you win this inner battle, nothing will change on the outside. To defeat this inner voice, Goggins started deliberately putting himself in difficult situations. He forced himself to do the very things that scared him the most. But all of this began with just one thing: accepting the truth. If you don't take this first step, everything else is useless. You can watch as many motivational videos as you want, read as many books as you want, but if you keep lying to yourself, nothing will change. Now, think carefully. What is that truth in your life that you are running away from? Is it your laziness? Your fear? Your habits? Your mindset? And the biggest question, are you ready to accept it? Because this is the moment where your life can either change or stay stuck forever. Goggins taught us that running from the truth is easy, but facing it is what makes you extraordinary. When you can see yourself without any excuses, without any lies, only then does real change begin. And this path is not easy. There is pain on this path, there is struggle, and many times you will feel like you are losing. But this is the very path, that leads you to your true strength. If you enjoy our free summaries, you can subscribe to our channel, get our membership, or support us directly. Now, let's get back to the summary. It is important to understand that this is not just Goggins' story. This can be the story of every person who wants to break through their limits. But this will only happen when you make a promise to yourself that from today you will not lie to yourself. No matter how bitter the truth may be, you will face it. Because the very day you accept your truth, your real life begins. Chapter 2. Taking responsibility. Breaking free from the victim mindset. Have you ever noticed that whenever something goes wrong in life, your mind immediately starts blaming someone else? I didn't get the opportunities. My home environment was not right. People didn't support me. And slowly, these things are repeated so many times that they become our truth. But the real truth is that all of this is just a comfortable lie in which we hide ourselves so that we never have to. Take our own responsibility. And this is the trap in which most people stay stuck their entire lives. The victim mindset. David Goggins also spent a large part of his life in this same thinking. His childhood was difficult. Circumstances were bad, and he had 1,000 reasons to consider himself a victim. If he had wanted to, he could easily have said, "My life is like this, what can I do?" And perhaps no one would have blamed him. But he chose a different path. He understood that no matter what happened to him, what happens next is solely his responsibility. This understanding is not easy, because when you take responsibility, you lose all your excuses. And when the excuses run out, only one thing remains: your truth. Now, you cannot say, "I didn't have time," because the truth is, you didn't make time. You cannot say, "I couldn't do it," because the truth is, you didn't try your hardest. And this is the moment where real change begins. Goggins made a very difficult decision in his life. He decided that he would no longer blame anyone. Not his past, not his family, not his circumstances. He told himself, "Whatever I am, wherever I am, the responsibility is mine." This may sound like a simple line, but there is a very deep power hidden behind it. Because the day you accept this, you take back control of your own life. Now ask yourself, are you holding the control of your life in your own hands, or have you handed it to others? When you blame someone else, you are actually giving them your power. You are saying that my life is the way it is because of you. And as long as you keep thinking this way, you will never move forward. Goggins adopted a very strict method to break this pattern. He started catching every single one of his excuses. Whenever his mind said, "I'm tired today, I'll do it tomorrow," he would ask himself, "Is this true, or is this just an excuse?" And most of the time, the answer was the same. This is just an excuse. He trained his mind to catch every lie, to recognize every excuse. There is something extremely important to understand here. Your mind will always show you the easy path. It wants to keep you safe. That is why it keeps you away from difficult things. But this very easy path is what makes you weak. And every time you choose this easy path, you slowly start running away from your responsibility. Goggins forced himself to break this pattern by always choosing the harder path. If he didn't feel like running, he ran. If he was afraid, he faced that very thing. Because he had understood that real growth only happens when you go against your own limits. But taking responsibility is not limited to just taking action. It also changes the way you think. When you hold yourself accountable, you start seeing every situation from a different perspective. Now, you don't think, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, you think, "What can I learn from this?" And this thinking is what pushes you forward. Now, one more deep question. Do you hold yourself responsible for your failures, or are you still blaming someone else? Because until you accept that the mistake was yours, you cannot correct it. And if you cannot correct it, you will keep repeating the same mistake over and over. Goggins faced failure many times in his life. He initially failed the Navy SEALs training. His body was not cooperating, and he had every reason to give up. But he did not give up because he held himself responsible. He did not say, "My body didn't support me." Instead, he said, "I did not prepare my body." And this very thinking is what got him back on his feet. Here is a very harsh but necessary truth. A large part of what is happening in your life is your responsibility. Yes, circumstances are not always in your control, but your response always is. And that response is what determines the direction of your life. If you keep retreating every time difficulty comes, your life will go in that direction, toward weakness. But if you face every difficulty head-on, you will gradually become stronger. And this is the difference between an ordinary person and an extraordinary one. Goggins teaches us that taking responsibility is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice. Every day, every moment, you have to decide whether you will accept your excuses or your responsibility. And every time you choose responsibility, you create a new strength within yourself. Now look carefully at your life. Are you truly carrying your full responsibility, or are you still somewhere lying to yourself? Because the truth is, until you take full responsibility, you can never reach your full potential. It is important to understand that taking responsibility does not make you weak. It actually sets you free. It gives you the power to live your life on your own terms. But for this, you will have to make a tough decision. You will have to let go of every excuse, break every lie, and fully hold yourself accountable. Because the day you do this, nothing can stop you. From that day, your life will not be in anyone else's hands but your very own. And that will be the day you truly begin to live. Chapter 3. Strengthening the mind. Breaking out of your comfort zone. The life you are living right now is the result of your habits, and your habits are formed inside the prison of your comfort zone. Think about the last time you did something that truly scared you. Something that made your heart race, and your mind kept saying, "Don't do this, you will fail." If the answer is nothing, then that is your biggest problem. Because the moment you limited yourself to only easy and safe things, you stopped your own growth. David Goggins considered his comfort zone to be his greatest enemy, not any person. He understood that it is an invisible prison in which a person locks themselves in the name of comfort. And the most dangerous thing is that in this prison you feel no pain. In fact, it feels like everything is fine. But deep inside, you are getting weaker and weaker. There was a time in Goggins' life when he was completely drowning in his comfort zone. He had gained a lot of weight. He was working an ordinary job, and there was no direction in his life. Every day, the same routine, the same excuses, the same fear. And gradually, he had started accepting that this is my life. Does this sound a little bit like your own story too? Here is a very dangerous truth hidden in this. The comfort zone destroys you slowly, but it doesn't even let you feel it. It convinces you that everything is fine, while in reality you are drifting further and further away from your true potential. And if you stay stuck in it, one day you will look back and regret that you never even tried. Goggins recognized this truth and made a decision that very few people can make. He decided that he would break his comfort zone no matter how much pain he had to endure. But this was not just a motivational line. This was real action. He began placing his body and mind in situations where they felt uncomfortable. Now, a very important question comes up here. Is doing hard things alone growth? No. Real growth happens when you deliberately choose the very things you are afraid of. Goggins forced himself to do exactly what he ran away from the most. He didn't enjoy running, so he started running. He had difficulty with studying, so he forced himself to read. Every time his mind said, "Don't do this," he did exactly that. There is a deep psychology at work here. Your mind always wants to keep you safe. It wants to protect you from pain, so it keeps you away from challenges. But this very safety becomes your greatest weakness. Because every time you listen to that voice, you are training your mind to keep stopping you forever. Goggins made a rule to break this pattern. Whenever his mind said stop, he would tell himself this is the signal to move forward. Think about it. If you also applied this one rule in your life, what would change? When your mind wants you to quit studying, you keep reading. When your mind wants you to give up, you take one more step forward. But this is not easy. In the beginning, your mind will resist this. You will feel exhausted. You will feel afraid. And many times you will ask yourself, why am I doing all this? This is the moment where most people go back to their comfort zone. Because everything is easy there, everything is safe. But Goggins embraced this pain. He understood that this pain would become his strength. Every time he pushed himself, he was not just strengthening his body but his mind as well. And gradually he began building a new identity inside himself. An identity of someone who never gives up. Now, take a moment and look at yourself. Are you in control of your mind, or is your mind controlling you? When you get tired, do you stop? When you feel afraid, do you retreat? If yes, then your comfort zone is running you. Goggins believes that until you train your mind, you can never reach your true potential. And there is only one way to train the mind. Put it in uncomfortable situations again and again. Because that is where it learns. That is where it becomes strong. Here is one more important point. Breaking your comfort zone is not limited to physical challenges. It applies to every aspect of your life. If you are afraid of talking to people, you have to do exactly that. If you are afraid of taking new opportunities, you have to do exactly that. Because fear is the very door behind which your growth is hiding. Goggins proved through his life that human limits do not actually exist. They only exist in our minds. And when you learn to control your mind, you can break any limit. But for this, you will have to step outside your comfort zone. Now think. If you are still standing in the same place you were a year ago, what does that mean? It means you did not leave your comfort zone. You did the easy thing, the safe thing. And that is why no big change came into your life. But the good news is that you can still change it. Even now, you can make the decision that you will face your fears, break your comfort zone, and reach your true potential. But for this, you will have to pay a price. Pain, discomfort, and consistent hard work. It is important to understand that the comfort zone is not your enemy. But if you stay stuck in it, it makes you weak. And if you step outside of it, it is that very thing that makes you strong. So the question is not how big your comfort zone is. The question is, do you have the courage to step outside of it? Because the day you show that courage, your real growth begins. And that will be the day you learn to control your mind rather than letting your mind control you. Chapter 4. Breaking limits. The 40% rule and extreme discipline. You think you've already reached your limit. But the truth is, you are only just getting started. Your mind sells you a lie. That's enough. I can't go any further. And you accept that lie as the truth. This is the moment where most people stop. But David Goggins shattered this lie. He introduced a rule that can completely change the way you think. The 40% rule. This means that when you feel completely exhausted, completely finished, you are only using 40% of your capacity. Think about what this means. When you get tired of studying, when your body starts giving up at the gym, when you feel like quitting something in the middle, at that moment you are not at your real limit. You are only at the point where your mind wants to stop you. Because the mind's job is to protect you from pain, not to make you great. Goggins did not just understand this truth, he lived it in his own life. During the Navy SEALs training, considered the toughest training in the world, he pushed his body to a point where most people break. His feet were injured. His bones were aching. But he did not give up because he had realized that it was not his body stopping him, it was his mind. Now here is something very deep to understand. Your body can endure far more than you can even imagine. But your mind forces you to give up long before that. And if you listen to that voice every single time, you will never find out what you are truly capable of. Now ask yourself, how many times have you given up simply because you felt you couldn't go any further? How many times did you stop yourself when you could have taken one more step forward? This is exactly where you lose your real growth. Goggins made the 40% rule a part of his life. Whenever his mind said stop, he would tell himself now the real work begins. And this is the mindset that turns an ordinary person into an extraordinary one. Because extraordinary people work right where everyone else stops. But this is not just about physical strength. This is about your mental strength. When you teach your mind that I will not stop, gradually your mind starts to believe it too. And this is the point where you become the master of your mind. Now another truth, discipline. This word sounds simple, but in reality, it is what makes or breaks your life. Goggins believes that motivation can get you started, but only discipline carries you all the way to the end. Because motivation doesn't come every day, but discipline forces you to work every single day. Goggins made discipline so strong in his life that he no longer depended on how he felt. Whether he was in the mood or not, he did his work. Rain, injury, exhaustion, no excuse. Because he had made up his mind that he would not back down from his goals. Now look at your own life. Do you do your work based on how you feel? If you're in the mood, you work. If not, you quit. If so, this is your biggest weakness. Because feelings are never stable. Sometimes you will be motivated. Sometimes you won't. And if your action depends on your feelings, your progress will never be stable either. Goggins teaches us that you must learn to give orders to your mind, not take orders from it. When your mind says rest today, you must say no, work happens today. When your mind says this is difficult, you must say that is exactly why I will do it. This sounds easy to hear, but it is incredibly hard to do because it requires you to fight your own inner weakness every single day. Every day you have to push yourself. And this is exactly the thing that most people cannot do. Now think. If every day you start going a little beyond your 40%, what will happen? Slowly your limits will expand. Things that once felt difficult will start feeling easy. And one day will come when you will not even recognize yourself, so much will you have changed. But for this, you will have to make one very big decision. You will have to embrace pain, because growth always comes with pain. If you run from pain, you will also run from growth. And if you embrace pain, you will reach your true potential. Goggins proved through his life that human limits exist only in the mind. And when you learn to control that mind, you can do anything. But for this, you will have to defeat the fear, laziness, and excuses within yourself. Now, the final question. Do you truly want to break your limits, or do you just want to live a comfortable life? Because both cannot exist at the same time. If you want to be great, you have to do what others don't. So the next time your mind says, that's enough, I can't go on, don't stop. Tell yourself this is only 40%. There is still 60% left. And then take one more step forward. Because that one step is what sets you apart from everyone else. Chapter 5. Becoming better every day. The never settle mindset and growth. Most people fall into a very dangerous trap in their lives. They achieved a little and then they stopped. They got a small win and the mind said that's enough. But this is the very moment where real defeat begins. Because the moment you allowed yourself to settle, that very moment you stopped your own growth. And slowly that same person who once had big dreams gets lost in an ordinary life. David Goggins stands completely against this thinking. For him, the word enough simply does not exist. He says that the day you told yourself I am fine now, I don't need to get any better, that very day you extinguished the fire inside you. And honestly, it is that fire which makes you different from everyone else. Now ask yourself, have you also settled for yourself somewhere? Have you accepted deep inside that what I am is enough? If yes, then this is the very thinking that is keeping you right where you are. Because real growth happens when you are never satisfied with yourself. When every day you try to become better. Goggins has a very powerful concept called callousing the mind. Just like your hands develop calluses from repeated hard work and then become stronger, in the same way your mind becomes stronger from repeatedly facing difficulty. Every time you push yourself, every time you endure pain, every time you refuse to give up, you are making your mind stronger. But here is a big question. Are you pushing yourself every single day? Or are you just doing what's easy? Because if you only keep doing easy things, your mind will never become strong. And if your mind is not strong, you will break down in front of any major challenge. Goggins never gave himself a chance to relax in his life. After every victory, he asked himself just one question. What's next? And this very question kept pushing him forward always. He never thought I have achieved so much. Let me stop now. Instead, he kept pushing his limits further and further every single time. Now think. If you also adopted this mindset, what would happen? If every time you achieve something, you asked yourself, can I do even better? What direction would your life go? This is the thinking that keeps a person moving forward continuously. But the truth is, this path is not easy. On this path, you will have to fight the voice inside you every single day. The voice that says, don't do it today, do it tomorrow. You've already done so much, take a little rest. And if you listen to this voice, you slowly drift back into the same old pattern. Goggins teaches us that you have to train your mind to never be satisfied. You have to set standards for yourself so high that you cannot easily achieve them. Because when your standards are high, only then do you keep pushing yourself consistently. Now, one more deep point. Most people become happy with their old version. They say, I am better than before. That is enough. But Goggins says you should not just surpass your old version, you should leave it far behind. You have to become a new version every single day. And a stronger, more disciplined, more focused version than before? Here is a very important question. Are you defeating your old version every single day, or are you still standing in the same spot? Because if you are not getting better every day, you are slowly going backward. There is no middle ground between growth and decline. Goggins proved through his life that never settle is not just a motivational line. It is a way of living. It means that you will never allow yourself to remain in a comfortable position. You will always challenge yourself. Always push yourself forward. But for this, you will have to make a very big sacrifice. You will have to let go of your comfort, your laziness, and your excuses. Because as long as you hold on to these things, you will never reach your true potential. Now think. If from today you made the decision that you will never settle, how would your life change? If every day you pushed yourself, learned something new, broke your limits, where would you be 1 year from now? And if you don't do this, 1 year from now, you will still be exactly where you are today. Goggins' message is very clear. Either you keep getting better every day, or you gradually get weaker. There is no middle path. And this decision has to be made every single day. It is important to understand that never settle does not mean you are never happy. It means you are happy with your progress, but never satisfied with your potential. You should always feel that there is still so much more inside you. So now the final question. Do you want to remain the same person you are today, or do you want to become a better version every single day? Because this one decision will determine your entire life. And remember, the day you tell yourself I can still become better and I will not stop, that very day your real journey begins. From that day, you will no longer be part of the crowd. Instead, you will become that person who stands apart from the crowd. If you've been listening to this entire journey carefully until now, one thing is clear. You cannot remain the same as before because now you know the truth. Now you cannot say I didn't know. Now you have no excuses left. The question is no longer why is your life this way? The question is what are you going to do to change it? The real message of this book is not some motivational dialogue. It is a bitter truth. You yourself are your greatest enemy, and you yourself are your greatest weapon. Your mind is what stops you, and the same mind can push you forward too. The difference is only in whether you control it or it controls you. You saw how facing the truth is necessary, how taking responsibility sets you free, how the comfort zone destroys your growth, how the 40% rule shows you your real strength, and how the never settle mindset always keeps you moving forward. But all of this is not just for listening or understanding. If it only stays in your mind and never comes into your actions, then it means nothing. Now stop for a moment and ask yourself honestly, how long will you keep living like this? How long will you keep postponing your dreams? How long will you keep telling yourself that the time is not right yet? Because the truth is the right time never comes. You have to create it yourself. Goggins' story does not teach us that life will become easy. Rather, it teaches us that you can become so strong that no difficulty can break you. But for this, you will have to embrace pain. You will have to push yourself every single day. And, most importantly, you must never lie to yourself. Now, the decision is in your hands. You can close this video right here and go back to your old life. The same habits, the same excuses, the same fears. Or you can choose a new path starting today. A path that is difficult, filled with pain, but one that will make you the person you truly want to become. Remember, no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to change your life. Only you have to do this work. And the sooner you understand this, the sooner your life will start to change. So today, right now, in this very moment, make one decision. That you will no longer be a slave to your mind but its master. You will not run away from your fears but face them. You will put an end to your excuses and make yourself better every single day. Because life gives you exactly what you fight for. And if you truly want to break your limits, you will have to become the person who never gives up. Now the question is, are you ready to change yourself? Or will you keep living with that same old version? If you don't make the decision today, perhaps you never will. So friends, that was our book summary for today. Do let us know how you liked it in the comments. And thank you for listening all the way to the end.